Today is August 19th, 2022, Thursday. And the Lord has revealed to me on the roof today something that I always was perplexed in the spirit about. I always wondered, how do you pray faith? How do I speak faith over Chastity that I know and believe and know for sure she'll be back to the Lord? I know this. So I like to pray faith. I like to pray the promises of God. I like to proclaim and prophesy and speak to those things that are not as if they were. Hallelujah. Because I know it's faith that moves the hand of God. Without faith, it's impossible to please Him. For he who comes to Him must come by faith. And so, and then at the same time it says, Zion must travail for babies to be born. And we must intercede for our children and for our loved ones. And deep travail and in intercession, we must weep for the souls of the lost of this world. We must stand in the gap and intercede for our loved ones, snatch them out of the fire. For the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much, saith the Lord. For whoever sows in tears shall reap in joy. That's a commandment of the Lord, and He can't go back on His word. So you have to sow tears to reap in joy. So I was like, Lord, how do I sow in tears for Chastity and yet pray in faith? I was like, I've been perplexed about this for a long time now, and I was like, Lord, how do I pray faith and travail at the same time for her soul? I didn't understand how to do it, but God just revealed it to me. And I wanted to share it now so I don't forget. Because God gave me a revelation. He gave me understanding is what He gave me. And I want to share it now. So the Lord, Lazarus died, and he tried to tell everybody, his friends, he's just asleep. He's like, even though he's been in the grave dead for 3 days, which is, in other words, a long time, it was an impossible situation. And Jesus wept. And He knew Lazarus was going to rise again. He knew all He had to do was speak over him and tell him to rise, and he was going to come up and live. But he wept because they didn't believe. So yet, he had faith, knowing Lazarus was going to rise again, but yet he still wept. Even though he knew they were fixing to see him rise again, and their faith was going to be exploded because they saw a dead man who'd been dead 3 days rise again. Their faith was fixing to go to the roof. He knew it was about to be an amazing thing, but yet he wept. And yet he still wept. He still wept because he wept even though he knew in just a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, all this was going to be turned around in just one spoken command by the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. All he has to do is speak the word, and it's over. As fast as a snap of a finger, it goes from death to life, just like that. Just like with our prodigal children, it's going to be just like that, like a light switch goes off. And even though he knows as soon as he speaks the word, Lazarus, rise up and walk, then it was all going to change. But yet he still wept. He wept even though he knew. Then in 1 second, their faith was going to be elevated. In 1 second, all the crying and mourning was going to be over. He knew in 1 second. But yet he still wept. Because he still grieved his spirit that they didn't believe. It still grieved his spirit. So Jesus is the embodiment of faith. And yet he still wept. Because he is faith and he is love. And yet he still wept. Another example is that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word, everything shall be established. So we know that this is true. For Jesus looked over the city of Jerusalem and he wept. He's like, I longed to gather you, my chosen people, the Jews, the apple of his eye, his own very own people, in the holy city in which he loves, Jerusalem. Yea, Jerusalem, I long to gather you, but you would not. Even though he's God and he knows that the new Jerusalem's going to come, that holy city is going to be brand new. He knows the temple will be rebuilt. He knows the Jews' eyes will be opened and they will recognize him as Messiah. He knows the remnant people will stay. Even though right now he's grieved in his soul and in his spirit, because his own people are denying him, even though he knows their eyes will be open, even though he knows this. But right now in his flesh, we're in flesh, it still grieves us on the inside. It still hurts. It still wounds us. It still breaks our heart, even though we have faith and know that he will have the Jewish people, their eyes will be open and they will recognize him as Messiah, and the new heavenly Jerusalem will be established in the millennial, Lord, and will reign for 1,000 years. And he knows this, but yet he still wept. So I'm telling myself, I can proclaim faith, and I 100% know for a fact that Chastity's coming back. I know without a shadow of doubt. I know she'll be delivered from transgender. I know she'll be delivered from homosexuality. I know she'll be delivered from everything that has her bound right now. I see her clothed and in her right mind. I see her with garments of praise and salvation. I see her married to an apostolic praying man. And I will have grandchildren. And I will see it in my day and my time. I know this. I know this with a fact. And my God knows my heart. I'm not wavering. I know I know it's going to happen. So I was like, Lord, how do I pray and prophesy and proclaim it and tell the devil she'll be back? And I already know it. I'm praying faith, yes. But at the same time, the Bible says to weep and to lament, to travail for our children. I said, Lord, how do I cry and believe at the same time? How do I cry and believe at the same time? I cry because I am her mother. Just like God is the father of the Jews and the father of all the people. And it grieved his soul. I'm her mother. And God gave me this feeling inside my body, inside my womb, in my bowels, for this child that I conceived and I bore. It goes so deep into the soul of a mother when they have a child and then lose it. It tears away something from the inside that God put in there. And God knows, without that being reestablished or without that connection, that bond staying, that a mother's never whole. Like the woman that had 10, she lost one and she could not stop. She had to sweep the house. She couldn't stay still. She was never the same. She had to find the one. And I have to pray. I have to sweep until the one comes back, because you see, I'm never going to be okay. I'm never going to be all right. I'm not going to pretend, because God knows I can't fake it and say I'm okay. I'm okay, my daughter's gone. I'm okay. I'm okay, my daughter's gone. She's dressing like a boy, and she's in a homosexual relationship saying she'll never have kids, but I know that's a lie. But I can't say it's not okay. I can't say that I'm okay with my daughter looking like a boy, and it's hard for me to say her name. I can't pretend like I'm okay, because Jesus knows that's not true. He gave me this heart. He gives me these feelings inside, and so it breaks my heart to see my own flesh and my own blood like this. It breaks my heart. It grieves my soul. Oh, God. So we must take this real pain to Jesus and not pretend like it's okay, like it doesn't bother us. when our children are missing. So I travail, I lament, I weep, and I intercede for the pain deep in my bowels, for the pain and the rent and the soreness inside my bosom that the Lord gave me for my child. I weep for my child until she comes home. And the Bible says, those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. That's the commandment of the Lord. You have to sow tears to reap in joy. I want joy, but God cannot lie. God cannot lie. So his word is true. I must sow in tears, and I will reap in joy. So I'll have joy when that which God's spoken, because he's faithful, comes to pass. And I will have joy when I sow in tears from a broken heart and soul, because my daughter's not with me right now. I am broken, I am hurting, and I can give that to Jesus and tell my Father, because he's a Father and he is touched with the feelings of our infirmities. As a mother cries for her children, as a father, he understands. I can say, Father, this hurts. Father, I'm missing my child right now. Father, I'm sore inside. I have an open wound. I long for that child that you've given me, Lord, to come back home. And in your word, God, the beautiful parable or story of the prodigal son. And you are that Father. And you're waiting out there. You're waiting. Even though you know, because you're God. You knew the son was coming back. You knew he was coming back, Lord. You knew when, because there's an appointed time. You know when, God, is going to happen. But in the parable, in the story, the father was always waiting, always looking. With faith and with sorrow. Because he fell on him and kissed him. And so my God, who is faith and sorrow,